Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys, so what you're seeing in front of you is not what I'm going to focus on. I want to focus on names at the Apollo, on the Apollo ship. So don't mind the scrolling. Okay, you guys, so I had to do a lot of scrolling. And again, I'm seeing this word harrowing again. You know that I've looked that up on Gematria. I believe it's a 33. I'm going to go look later. And you guys know what's up with that. So I would really appreciate it if somebody could start a list, a ship list. What do they call those? When veterans are going for disability for the brown water, they have these logs of all the sailors that were on the ships. So because you guys know my situation and I kind of have a lot of irons in the fire right now, if somebody could start a list of whom is on the Apollo, whom is on the, what's the other one? I can't think of the other name right now. And this can definitely be a compilation. We all can work together. We need to start writing down who was on the list, or on these ships during certain years. Because that's where a lot of the rapes of the little girls and sometimes little boys happened. If only at least for the survivors, right? Okay, so this is one. James Jim Douglas, former U.S. Guardian Officer Staff. I could be wrong, but I think this reference is to Michael Douglas, whom I knew on the Apollo. And so did Jerry Armstrong. Jerry Armstrong. By the way, Jerry Armstrong and Mike Rinder hate each other's guts. So, I mean, I have, from what I've seen, what I've gathered, I don't trust 99.9% of those executives. I'm sorry. I'm sure it offends somebody. What else is new in my life? Someone I support. Okay, so this person supports Jerry Armstrong. I'm not really sure who's writing what here. So anyways, you guys just go with me, please. Someone I support. I'm going to make a rough guess here and say I think it was an alias when LRH was in hiding. So Michael Douglas, Apollo. Jerry Armstrong, Apollo. It's a lot of information in this one, you guys. So feel free to check out the link after I post this. I'll put it in the description box. Okay, listen, guys. Irene Dunleavy. So she was married like 3 times, which I guess is quite common in there. So one of her last names was Howie. Another last name was Derman. Former LRH COM, St. Hill CO, commanding officer. Asho D, which is Delta. Office of Eval and Execution Flag. She would have known about all the out 2Ds of the children. Oh, that's code in Scientology language. When the children get raped, they call it out 2D. So this Irene gal, she was on the Apollo. So that's 3 names. Birds of a feather. Captain Bill debrief. Let's see. Okay, so this Captain Bill, that must be sarcasm. Okay, Tom Dunleavy, former executive council, WW on the Apollo. So there's a number 4 name. Please, somebody start the list. I would super appreciate it. My main focus is my health right now. Robert Ely. Okay, doesn't say he was on there. I've already identified a lot of the tight-lipped people, especially the women, and it really pisses me off. Because enough time has gone by that they should be singing like canaries now. Hold on. Okay, here's a name. Molly Gilliam. I wonder if that was relation to Janice. I think so. Former Hubbard finance aide. So they're not saying she was on the Apollo, but how is it that Hubbard was on the Apollo? And I would just imagine she would have had to be, right, you guys? One of the Commodores. We know what happened to a lot of them. This is pretty, there's a lot of information in this one. Okay. Diana Hubbard. And we know what's alleged of her. I was looking at a picture the other day. I believe I shared it with you guys. She was very pretty. And she had this Sea Org uniform on with a really short skirt, which I felt was extremely inappropriate for a young girl on the Apollo to have that on. And who was she sitting right next to? Her father, L. Ron Hubbard. Nowhere in the military are women allowed to wear short skirts like that. It's inappropriate. Mary Sue Hubbard, we know what happened to her. I personally, from what I've heard about her, I don't have a high opinion of her at all. So what? She went to prison. Okay, worth a mention. I think what is going on is the lady who has written this blog, she shared a lot of links, or maybe someone else was helping her to share different links. But this is worth a mention. And my Greek potatoes sure do smell good. Betty James lived at Little Baldwin's, East Grinstead, for a short time. My home at the time in the mid-1960s. Loads of kids in one room. Okay, here's another name. This is name number 5 for the Apollo. Anton James. And we already know how many child rapes happened on the Apollo. And the other ship that it's escaping my mind right now. And there's a lot of people that take up for Heber Jentzsch. I did not know him personally, or do not know him personally, but there's a video floating out there on YouTube, actually several. So Scientology, if you think you can scrub it, think again, of where Heber Jensch was talking to the media and talking about, I can't remember exactly, but he was cleansing stuff. And his child was getting sexually assaulted by a grown-ass man. Where was he? Where was his mother? Well, my assumption was somewhat on the money. So this other man, Brian Livingston, former Treasury Secretary on the Apollo. So the other lady I was talking about, I believe she was on there too. So it's name number 6 or 7. I think it's 6. And then the woman I assumed was on there. Okay, you guys, this is not exactly a name on the Apollo or the other ship, but I just have to. This, to me, in my mind, gives me more credibility of this blog because they do not like Rathburn. Marty Rathburn, another crony of Miscavige. Facts. And there's rumors about him having done inappropriate things with young girls, but I haven't vetted it out, so I don't want to say that with complete affirmation. It's just a rumor that's out there. I have no way to prove it. Like BJ Investigate states, I wasn't there. Okay, here we go. Do you have your pen ready, please? I would really appreciate if somebody would start this list. Okay, here's another name on the Apollo. Otto Roos. Old-timer SO member, many posts. Now declared SP. Robin Roos. Former CS3 and CS2 on the Apollo. So that's what? 8 names now? Norman Starkey. This is name number 9. Longtime loyal Sea Org officer on the Apollo. Laurel Watson Sullivan, former LRH personal public relations officer. What was that tell you guys? On the Apollo. A lot of these perpetrators think they have free reign, and they kind of do. LAPD is okay with it. Clearwater PD is okay with it. It seems to me like the FBI is okay with it as well. Here's another name. So this is name number 9. Ken Urquhart, former CS7, LRH, personnel comm on the Apollo. Oh, you know what? This is worth a mention. Now, granted, this is some of this information's kind of old, but listen to this. Warren Young, former San Diego, California police officer and member of Scientology, with access to the National Crime Information Center computer. Why Scientologists cannot be trusted. Okay, hold on a second here. Oh, you don't have to sell me on that. You guys do realize this is Illuminati mind control, right? You guys understand that link? Oh, snap, you guys. Snap. Snap, snap, snap. Here are names on the Apollo. I'm just going to read them just because. I wish I could maximize it. Stella King, David Deitch, Des Popham, Joyce Popham, Claire Popham, Goran Anderson, Yvonne Gillum, Peter Gillum Jr., Terry Gillum, Janice Gillum, Belkacern Faraj, Hannah Eltringham. Remember the crap that Marty Rathburn said about her? Huh, she's so scared of Marty. Guy Eltringham, John O'Keefe, Joe Van Staden, Bill Robertson, Amos Jessop, Mo Budlong. Oh, Mo Budlong he really spilled his guts. I read a story by him. It was really good and very sad. He was not a perpetrator, that I could, not the way he wanted to protect the girls. He talked about it. Otto Roos, Robin Roos, Marty Friedman, Frank Friedman. Good to really pay attention to the male names. Kenneth Urquhart, Peter Warren, Bob Young, Malcolm Neerman, Gillian Neerman, Neville Chamberlain. And just because they were married doesn't mean much. As long as they have that, you know what. Peaches, Ron Pook. Thok, something guard, overguard. Nikki Freeman, Mary Sue's backup. John McMaster, David Mayo. I don't know about that David Mayo. I've heard his name floating around. Laurel Sullivan, Kat Kariataki. Sounds Japanese. David, Anton James, David Engelhart. And that's just off the top of my head. Maria Norman Starkey. Nobody seemed to know about Abelund in Denmark until I started speaking out about it. Jerbin God 6, I remember the address well, as I wrote a lot of letters then. I had to get out of this hellhole, and believe me, it was a hellhole. I was 12 years old. Let me repeat that. I was 12 years old. And they sent me to ethics officer from the Apollo to see me personally in Denmark. You know, once L. Ron Hubbard created the ethics and the conditions, you know he was just getting off on it. Apollo to see me personally in Denmark, to inform me that I would be locked up in a mental institution. See, that's the blackmail, the threats, for telling tall tales, if I ever spoke out about Scientology. Now, what would you do at the age of 12? When they had just informed you your father had been locked up in a cupboard and he had been, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do at the age of 12? Years later, I asked my father why he had not brought help. Got the police. Oh, wait for it, you guys. They are all in on it. LAPD, did you hear that? Clearwater PD, they are all in on it. Are you guys rolling your pant leg up there? Is that what's going on? Where abuse of children is okay? Mind controlling children is okay? Raping little girls and raping little boys is okay? Stealing their lives away? Trying to take their life essence? I know that now, as why would Scientology get religious status in my own country? The same country that I escaped back to for some peace of mind. Peace of mind, my own country. It might be a small cult in the eyes of ownership, but what about all those that don't admit to being a Scientologist? Because it is a dirty word. And that's from Sharon Stainforth. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night, wherever you are. Peace.